All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Friday afternoon. Another Knicks Fan TV and Bleacher Report simulcast. CP the franchise in the building. Our guy Dexter Henry of New York Post Sports. Buckets got game. And our guy Eric Newman, man. He is the host of B-Ball Radio, NBA analyst, NBA filmmaker extraordinaire, man, and a Boston Celtics fan, man. We are going to recap and put the bow on Game 2 as we get ready for what will be an epic Game 3 at Madison Square Garden, man. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up on Free Boys, man. Rainy day here on the East Coast. And for Eric, he's hoping it's an omen. He's hoping it's an omen. But let's talk about it, man. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. All right, man. Fellas,
wash it away, my friend.
Wash it
away.
Wash it away.
Wash it away.
How you feeling, man?
Dex isn't. I'm exhausted.
Yes.
Got into New York way too late last night.
Yes.
I'm still so stunned by Game 2. You know when you're traveling and you hear people talking about something you have extreme interest or connection to, like, who's a Knicks fan on the plane talking
did we lose him?
About the series and 7 feet from me, and I'm just like, I want nothing to do with this conversation. You still got me?
Yes, we got you. Yeah.
So it was shocking to see, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And you and I talked. When was that? No, you and I talked yesterday. We talked after I left the KG studio yesterday, and we talk about stats, we talk about film, and you can get a good idea usually from a box score, at least how a game was trending or where it ended up by looking at a few particular things. And you look at the Knicks box score from Game 2, and that doesn't spell road dramatic comeback playoff victory, but their grit and their willingness to stick with it is something that I think everybody underestimated, just because of the season that they had. While the Knicks were a good team, they were considered a tier 2 team, obviously because of their record against the top teams in the league. And you could obviously throw that out the window right now. This is the second season, and these guys believe in themselves. And I think a lot of this is also tied to last year, knowing that they were hit really badly by the injury bug. And they should have been in the conference finals last year facing the Celtics. So that's one side of it. From a Celtics side of it, I'm just shocked that this team got to the level they've gotten to with a 2024 NBA championship, back-to-back 60-win seasons, by doing the things that make them great collectively. And again, we see guys trying to play hero ball when they're up. We see them take their foot off the gas, and it's unexplainable. These are habits that I thought were gone. I don't know if all of a sudden there's this added pressure. Obviously, this year they had some pretty unexplainable struggles at home, whereas on the road, they're one of the best teams in basketball. So I'm going to lean on that as we head into Game 3. But Game 2 was crazy. And, a lot of people are dissecting that last play. The game was lost well before the last play blew up on their face. So if we want to talk about that last play, we can. The non-use of the timeout, sure, but they never should have been in that situation. But, hey, hats off to the Knicks.
Yeah, no question about it. And once again, we got Dexter Henry in the building of New York Post Sports. New York Got Game is the show, and you can catch Dex during every playoff game for a live watch along with a special guest. Dex, I thought Eric hit the nail on the head in terms of, the New York grit really emerging here, not necessarily here in the Celtics series, but maybe it started from the Pistons series, where, coming into the whole playoffs, it was, can the Knicks handle the physicality? Are they gritty? Are they resilient? That has been a question mark we've been trying to answer all season long during various tough losses by this team. It just seemed like they would let go of the rope a lot. The 0-11 against all the elite teams, we just always question their mettle. But in these two games, we can talk about the missed shots and make or miss league and all of that. You come back from a 20-point lead, a deficit in the fourth quarter twice in a row. That is New York grit by its very definition.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's not a fluke, right? Like, it's not a fluke. You have to take advantage of opportunities. Have the Celtics missed shots? Absolutely. Have they played with their food, if you want to say that? Absolutely, too. And some of it, I'm sure Eric would agree, the Celtics could have a little bit better of a shot diet. You'd like to see them late attack. There are also some plays where they had offensive rebounds, and instead of backing it out and resetting the offense, they were attacking right again. So the Celtics play a lot of things have to go right to come back from 20 and to do it twice. But you do have to give credit to the mental toughness of the Knicks. I agree with you, CP. It was shown in the Detroit series. I think this is a major lesson for fans to learn. Watching. Things sometimes take time. It takes time for teams to develop, to find their identity. You cannot change a whole bunch of pieces and just think, okay, it's going to be ready overnight. I think the Knicks are finding their identity. I had asked this on an episode in the middle of the season and said, was your identity being clutch? And a lot of that had to do with Jalen Brunson. I think you're starting to see that is, because it's not just Jalen Brunson. This is Mitchell Robinson coming up big in the fourth quarter. This is Mikal Bridges, who didn't have a point and scored all his points in the fourth quarter. And we've seen Mikal Bridges come through time and time again in fourth quarters in this postseason run. Josh Hart stepping up his game, shooting the ball, no longer reluctant to shoot from three. It's not just one person. Cat in the first half, being very aggressive, as you called for, CP, dominating inside against Al Horford. And he made Al Horford look real old in that game, and that has to continue here going forward. So if you're a Knicks fan, you want to lean into that grit. Now, I will say this. The grit's going to be tested even more in Game 3. I expect the crowd to be super lit. I wish I was in the building for Game 3. The crowd is going to be nuts. This is probably, I don't want to say the biggest Knicks game. I don't want to call it a big game yet, but I think it's the most anticipated Knicks playoff game probably since Game 1 against the Hawks in 2021.
Yes.
Just with the energy, just with the chance for the Knicks to be up 3-0 if they win this game. But the Celtics are the champs. They are good on the road. They've won a road game in 11 straight series. And they've won multiple road games in plenty of series. So this is a big test. I'm still not counting out the Celtics, but I think the Knicks could be sparked by the crowd. And I think it's important that they punch the Celtics in the mouth first.
Early.
In this game. Early. It's got to happen early, right? If they do that, I think it'll be in good shape, because I want to see how do the Celtics respond from that there. They're already down. I don't think the doubt has set in for them yet, but they really haven't been punched in the mouth yet in the series. And if that happens at the Garden, let's see what happens there.
Yeah, I agree, man. You could make the case. I'll be in the building tomorrow, man. You could make the case this is the most important game of the series. It can obviously still go either way. Even though the Knicks are up 2-0, it can go either way. These are the champs. You can't count them out until you put the stake all the way through. But this is the most important game of the series, just in terms of, seeing like which one of the real versions of either one of these teams will emerge. Because you can argue, obviously, the mainstream media's case, and from the Celtics fan perspective, this is not the best of the champs. They're not shooting the ball well. Tatum's looking terrible in the clutch. The Porzingis injury, they're not looking like themselves. Missing, they took the 63s. They didn't make a lot of them. They shot, 20-something% from three. They shot 25% from three in this game.
25 for 100 in 2 games.
25 for 100 in 2 games. So, the question is, like, even on the Knicks side, I don't think you've seen clutch Brunson, but you haven't seen a full 48 Brunson. I think Karl-Anthony Towns still has several matchups against his Celtics group that he can dominate. And even in a 21-15 game, I still think there's another level that he can get to impose his will. The Knicks as a collective in this game, too, shot 29% from three. Turned the ball over 16 times, which led to 25 Boston points, and gave up 16 offensive rebounds to the Celtics. So it's very interesting, Eric. Like, which one of the real versions of these teams will show up?
It makes no sense.
It don't make no sense.
None of those numbers. And here's one thing that I just double checked the box score from Game 2. The Celtics only went to the line 15 times at home in a playoff game. That's unacceptable. And that's part of the problem here. You're settling, okay? Even on offensive rebounds, you're still settling instead of attacking the rim. You attack the rim, you get fouled, you go to the free throw line. What does that do? That slows the Knicks down. that makes the Knicks walk the ball up the floor on made free throws. That lets you set up your defense. That lets you take a deep breath and calm down. They've got to do it. But to answer your question, I think we're seeing who the Knicks are. The Knicks are a tough, resilient group who are just not going to quit on a game because they're down 15, 17, or 20 points. I don't recognize who the Celtics are at this moment. So the concern is, listen, it's a different era, right? We're not talking about Kevin McHale playing on a fractured foot in the 87 playoffs here. But whatever Kristaps Porzingis needs to do that doesn't negatively affect his health in a dangerous way to get himself right and going for the rest of this series, he needs to do it right away. Whatever Jaylen Brown needs to do to be that guy again, he needs to get there on the road in game 3. And I think JB will have a very good game 3. I think he will rise to the moment. KP, we don't really know all the details to what this illness is, but it's clearly affecting him in a very legitimate way. And that's a domino effect on the Celtics. He's a big part of their production. We talked about ahead of game 2, how they look to establish him and JB in first quarters of games to create that rhythm, to create runs early and build leads. And to your point, the Knicks are going to come out swinging. And, what kind of championship medal are you going to have on the road to absorb those punches, take those blows, and then surge ahead in the game? I can flash back to many instances of the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce Celtics teams that would go on the road, absorb those punches, even post-championship when they were getting older. Some of those moments were at the Garden against the Knicks. And you'd have to absorb those punches, slow the game down back then. The Celtics now, they need to get out in transition. They need to get easy baskets. They need to build confidence and momentum. And I think they'll feed off of that crowd for sure. But nothing has made sense in these first 2 games. But the Knicks are showing they have the character and the will to be a legit contender now, up 2-0.
Yeah, true indeed, man. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. CP the Franchise, Eric Newman, Dexter Henry in the building. Talking about Game 3, keys to victory for both teams. Shout out to our guy, Kareem Alston Rosales, checking in from all the way in the West Coast. Kareem's out there in Oregon, I believe, right? Kareem, just correct me if I'm wrong. $10 super chat from him. He says, Boston Talk Radio called us trash. The disrespect makes me mad. Praying for a complete game. We still haven't seen the best from the Knicks. Let's hit that gear and fulfill our potential. Well, you know what, man? Like, Dex, I am embracing this new sense of underdog-ish, if you will, when it comes to the Knicks, especially in this series. Like, it went from, with the Pistons series, it's like, oh, don't choke. They better not choke. You're supposed to win this. And now with the Celtics, it's like, it's everything the Celtics are doing wrong. The Knicks are not supposed to be here. I like it much better when my New York teams are in that underdog role and the expectations are a lot lower. I like this place that they are in right now.
Yeah, I get that because it's easier to root, right? You don't feel like you have a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Now the other part of his CP, and Eric's not somebody who's saying this because I think Eric astutely gave the Knicks a ton of credit here. Even though, yes, I agree with Eric. Both of these games have been weird. The numbers don't make sense. You could be scared on either side that neither team has played their best game. But I wonder how Knicks fans are going to feel. I wonder how Knicks fans have felt a lot about, and I'd love to hear from people in the chat, the fact that some people in the media, and look, I work in the media, so I haven't been one of these people, but are like, hey, a little bit of what you just said there, CP, which is this is about what the Celtics aren't doing, not giving the Knicks credit for the comeback, not giving them credit for their grittiness. And I know fans get very upset when they don't get the love, particularly in the national media. But I wonder how much of that is fueling the Knicks, because I talked a lot about how I thought the Knicks were motivated in the last series, heading into that about the talk. People thought Detroit was going to push them. They could beat them. They should have avoided them. All this stuff. They've heard the talk about how they weren't on the level of Boston. Now they've shown that they can compete with Boston, at least in fourth quarters, for sure. I just wonder how much of that is motivation. I just saw James Edwards had tweeted that he asked Kat if the Knicks would be feeling more pressure in this Game 3, considering that if they get the 3-0 lead, no team has ever blown that. So, like, almost like you're saying, this is the most important game.
Most important.
Do they need to get this? Do they need to get this here? And is there pressure on the Knicks? Which is weird to say for a team coming home up 2-0 that there's more pressure. Kat said, I was reading the quote, he said, we just have to play Knicks basketball and control the controllables. I think he's right about that. I think there's more pressure on the Celtics. They're the defending champions. They have to get this game to get back in the series. I'm not saying the Knicks should relax. I'm always about in the playoffs, you got to be greedy. You got to take the games when you can. You can't play with the lead. You can't think anything is relaxed. But I think as a fan, CP, yes, it's a different position because even though the Knicks are up 2-0, I still think most people don't expect them to win. In fact, the odds say that. The odds still don't favor the Knicks. The odds still favor the Celtics. And so, the Knicks are hearing that and seeing that. You never know how that plays. I think that only ramps up the crowd even more on Saturday. But I personally watching it, I respect the Celtics team, and I don't think they're going to go down meagerly. I just don't. No. I just don't see it. Look, first two games have been crazy. Why wouldn't Game 3 be crazy? That's the way I look at it. Yeah. Why wouldn't it be crazy?
But that's why I call it the most important game of the series because you can't expect Boston to go 25 for 100 from three. You can't expect these, non-impactful games from Jason Tatum. Brown was a lot better in game 2. I thought him getting his paint touches, he was killing Josh Hart for most of that game. So that was good, but you can't expect these guys to continue to miss from three. Hey, what if Porzingis gets his win back and he's back at a full game's worth? What if Sam Hauser comes back? Like, you got to take advantage while you can. And that's why when game 2 started, and a lot of people was like, yo, what do you think? What do you think about game 2? I'm like, let's see how the Celtics start the first quarter. We'll know a lot about this game. And when I saw the Knicks, just throwing the ball away, first, second, third quarter, just careless mistakes, I'm pissed off because I'm like, yo, this is another game that is there for the taking. Dude, you're sitting here down 20 and you're just, again, those Celtics turnovers where you're holding the ball, they tap it out of your hand, and then it's 2 extra chances at a three-pointer. You can't have that against this team.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the Knicks, the one thing they've played with fire on, and it helped them this game in the fourth quarter is, as you mentioned there, CP, the turnovers and the offensive rebound. The Celtics still out-rebounded them by 5, but there was a point in the game, and I think it was in the third quarter, Celtics were plus 14 on the glass. You can't have that. And that was looking like a recipe for disaster again, once again. And I think this is where the Celtics, I'm sure their coaching staff is sitting there. And Eric, you might feel the same way. You're looking at this and saying, look, on these second chance opportunities, sometimes we were getting some wide open looks. Sometimes we also rushed some shots. Sometimes we also didn't do the best thing in terms of possession. So the Celtics, I don't think are going to change. I know people have been criticizing Joe Mazzulla for this. He's like, look, we generate good threes most of the time. We're not going to change right now. Now, I think that's good and bad. I think they do have to adjust their shot diet, particularly in the fourth quarter when things get tight, right? That's what you'd like to see them do. Now, if you're the Knicks, you're like, all right, keep rushing those threes. Keep trying to hunt those threes. And if you're going to rush them and not take them in the flow of the game, we'll live with that. So it's really interesting. But the Knicks, I can't say one of the things they got to clean up. CP, you're 100% right. Is the glass? They got to get better on that. You wonder if that is more Mitch minutes, who is tremendous in game 2. He's been good on the glass. Do the Celtics go to Hack-a-Mitch a little earlier than we saw in game 3 to try to get him off the floor? It's all really interesting, but the Knicks can't play with fire like that again with the Celtics. They've beat them on the glass in 2 games. Look, +5 is better than the plus, I believe, 10 it was in game 1. So they cleaned it up a little bit. If they can keep it within 5, I think they have a better chance to win the game. When it's +14, double digits,
can't do it.
The Celtics are going to have a game where they shoot good and they're going to hit those threes, and you're not going to win.
So back to the pressure question. Mm-hmm. You're the defending champs. You're the Boston Celtics. You're down 2-0 going on the road. All the pressure's on the Celtics.
KP tried to deflect it. He tried to deflect it after game 2. You heard the KP comment, right?
Of course he tried. Of course he tried to deflect it. But look at these playoffs as an example. The Knicks lose game 5 at home to Detroit, then close it in 6 on the road. You have all these teams winning road games. Teams are going to win road games now, and it's happening more and more in recent years. And you look at this group. This is the same group, besides no Marcus Smart, who I wish we could inject into the locker room and the lineup for a few minutes with what he brings to the table, minus the erratic shooting, but in terms from an effort and passion standpoint. But the 2023 Celtics unexplicably started that Miami Heat series with the snooze button hit, and they went down 3-0, and then they're playing Game 7 at home to go to the NBA Finals, and unfortunately that game went to Miami, and we know what happened there. So this team has been in pretty much every type of postseason situation during these last 3 to 4 years, except this one. They were down 3-2 to Philadelphia the round before in 2023, won that in 7. They were down 3-2 to the Milwaukee Bucks in 2022. Jason Tatum scored 46 points on the road in Milwaukee. Celtics won the series in 7. They've been in many situations. This is a different type of test. This is an opponent who we saw the comment yesterday, I believe, who's better than anybody they faced clearly on the way to the finals last year, arguably Dallas last year versus Knicks this year. Close comp. But this is a tall task, but it's literally, forget the one game at a time approach. It's a one possession at a time approach. And Dex, back to your point on rebounding, when you get offensive rebounds, the defense is scrambling. They have tried to find a body to box out. Someone's potentially leaked out thinking they're going to get the rebound and get on the break. You have advantages. Just because you have an advantage doesn't mean it has to end up in a 3. You have an advantage. We can drive the ball right back to the defense on a kick out because they're scrambling to rotate and match up. And again, have to get to the free throw line, especially now on the road, because you're going to have to take this crowd out of the game somehow. And you can't just rely on threes to do it. So that's my thought on pressure and some of what the Celtics need to get done in Game 3.
Shout out to our guy Gary Riker, $50 super chat. Says no respect from these commentators on these fake news sports shows. Stick with KFTV for true reporting, man. Like, subscribe, and share. He said game notes in Brunson time. Keep up the amazing defense. Cat needs to battle again. We got this. Shout out to Gary Riker. Well, listen, man, I tell you guys all the time, there's a lane for everybody. There's a lane for all types of content. You got to understand that the mainstream is, going to be more on the entertainment side. But here, we just keep it authentic. We keep it real, man. We got myself, Dexter, and Eric in the building. We calling it like it is. You know what I mean? We giving credit where it's due. We don't have any hidden agendas, and we also have a good time. Because also what the people are asking for, Eric, is what's up with the stakes? Are we having the stakes? You did have the bet was made on Wednesday. The people want to know, are we doing stakes? What's the situation, man?
I called you, brother. You know we're doing it. We're either doing it post game.
Yeah.
Game 3.
Yeah.
Or we're doing lunch Monday. Pre-game 4.
Monday.
It is happening.
Monday.
It is happening.
Yeah. We'll stream. Don't
leave out the facts here. We're not sports radio. We are KnicksFanTV.
That's right.
I am very, very appreciative of being welcomed into enemy territory. I love you guys. Don't leave out the details. But listen, if you're still listening to toxic debate television and sports radio, and this is not meant to be a jab at people, ask yourself why. What are you getting out of that? Because how many of those guys who are not ex-players actually know what they're watching?
Yeah.
We could have that conversation another time.
Yeah.
Eric, I just want to say I agree with all that. I agree with everything you just said. Agreed. Go ahead. Sorry.
There you go. No, I was going to say Paul Pierce right now is getting his morning stretch in West Coast, working out.
Yes.
From yesterday.
Yeah. You did see the truth yesterday after his walk or before?
Early on.
Early
on. Yeah. No, we passed by him. He had to come by the studio real quick, walk to the studio, and then continued the walk to the main Fox studio. KG saw him on the way, which went all over the internet. And listen, Paul's a man of his word. He's a man of his word. And listen, if you're a Hollywood screenwriter writing a sports script, what better story than the truth needing to walk 20 miles to wake up the Celtics and let them know it's time to win a road playoff game. But No, good times is always. Um, you know, him and KG were joking on Ticket and Truth, which was
Mhm.
just released on the KG Certified YouTube channel. They were joking about what it would be like to walk into Madison Square Garden for Game 3,
Mm.
and they're like, it would be too thick. There's no way. There's
It's
no way.
it's gonna be insane, but the question is what kind of crowd are we gonna have there tomorrow? I'm gonna be interested to see, fellas, because I was there for games 1 and 2 against Detroit. Now, game 1 is always raucous, but look, a lot of people, I'm just going off of the comments and what's out there. The get-in price is damn near $800 just to get in the building. And you got a lot of people telling me, yo, CP, like, we want to be there, but we're getting priced out of this whole thing completely. So there's a lot of questions as to what kind of crowd is going to be there, because what I can tell you guys is game 5, the closeout game against Detroit, I was there. I thought I was sitting in a library. I mean, I'm surrounded by people who don't have Knicks gear on. I was in the lower bowl, don't have Knicks gear on. No one's standing up. It's one of those things where it's like you stand up and people are like, oh man, I can't see. Please sit. Like Starberry said, we're not sitting. We're not sitting for game 3.
Wait. In a closeout game at home, that was
bro.
So I didn't watch that game closely. Those early starts on the West Coast. Sometimes it's like, okay, let me watch this later.
Yeah.
Obviously I record everything, but that is shocking. And I want to say this. I grew up taking the Long Island Railroad into the city to Madison Square Garden. My friend, who I'm going with on Monday, they got seasons before it was the thing to do. Great seats, section 110 up in the corner. And those experiences were so electric. When I was a sports media intern back in the day, we're talking 98, 99, 2000, when I graduated college at TV 55, I'm at those 99 games against the Pacers. I wasn't at the LJ game because it was a very close friend's surprise birthday party. We had it on TV. But I was at 2 of the other Pacer games. I was at one of the finals games against the Spurs. And the electricity in the Garden was something in my life up until that point I had not experienced before. So I think the crowd tomorrow is going to be that level and more, because it is the Celtics. It has been this long since you guys had a legit shot to get to the conference finals. And I think it's going to be, an incredible playoff environment.
Yeah, likewise, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. People were asking, why the 3:30 game. Well, as I mentioned last week, it had the Rockets beaten Golden State in Game 7. This game would have been at 8:30, obviously being the more marquee game. So now I believe tomorrow's later game is going to be, Minnesota Golden State gets to 8:30. And it's kind of, lackluster with no Curry.
It's out in the Bay.
Out in the Bay.
And the reason why they're doing that is because that's a 5:30 start in the Bay. You can't have a later start
in 8:30 local
East Coast than that.
Yeah.
So now, could you have put that game earlier in the day out in the Bay? For sure. But that's the reasoning there.
For sure.
Listen, it's going to be a heck of a Saturday night either way.
Yeah.
However this game goes tomorrow. The point you made, though, about people getting priced out, that is the one unfortunate thing about this. Kudos to you, though, for setting up the watch parties that you guys do. They're doing them in Boston also. Fans are priced out. Yeah. It's not at that extreme level, but, those tickets aren't cheap either. But unfortunately, this has been a problem since the 90s at the Garden. Starting probably coming off of that 93, 94, the battles with the Bulls, the trips to the finals, that's where things started to go real corporate, and that hasn't slowed down.
Yeah.
So, you'd like to see more lifelong diehards be able to get into the building. If there's one negative around this, from a fandom standpoint, that would be it.
Yeah, good points. Good points there. But look, like you said, you have options. The Knicks are doing some great things for the fans. They're having the block parties right outside of the Garden. They have the big screens out there, so you guys can do that. And also, as Eric said, man, you guys can pull up to the KFTV watch experience. It's not just a party, man. It is an absolute experience. We will be there at the Ainsworth, 45 East 33rd Street at 1:30 p.m. It's supposed to be 70 degrees on Saturday. The rooftop will be open. The main floor will be open, so you have a lot of areas where you can congregate with your fellow Knicks fans. Should be a nice day outside, so you can enjoy some daytime basketball on the roof. Half-price drinks, 1:30 to 2:30. All ages are welcome, so you can bring the kids as well and let the kids have a great time. The kids have been enjoying this run as well. So shout out to the younger generation, and you can get your tickets at KFTVWatch.com or KnicksFanTV.com to get your tickets. Eric,
happy hour special starting at 1:30. I'm staying away from that spot. That's for sure.
You gotta have a different kind of crowd there, CP, with that early happy hour.
Hey, it could be a soda happy hour. You want your Shirley Temple? You get your Shirley Temple, man. Whatever.
Ain't nobody doing that at 1:30 for a Knick game. That's not happening.
For sure, man.
Day drinking before Game 3 at home against the Celtics. Yes, that's gonna be that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully everybody gets home safely, win or lose. But hey, if you do have an injury, man, make sure you guys call our guys at Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, man, with over $25 billion recovered, over 500 clients served nationwide. Morgan & Morgan has been fighting for the people for over 35 years. If you're injured, you deserve to be paid. And just remember, man, not all law firms are the same, because with Morgan & Morgan, their fee is free unless they win. So make sure you guys give them a call. You can check them out at forthepeople.com/KFTV. That's forthepeople.com/KFTV. Or you can dial pound law, which is pound 529 from your cell phone. Once again, shout out to Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, for sponsoring today's show. Okay. We'll open up the Discord for those of you guys that want to get in. Let me shout out some more super chats that have come in here. Shout out to our guy Will Latimer, man, down in Atlanta. $5 super chats at CP. Can you say Brooklyn Chop House? Absolutely, man. Yeah, everybody's followed up. You know, that's just a sign that everybody's tapped in. They're tapped in. They didn't miss the last show. Last show was a good one, so shout out to everybody there. Shout out to Beers 202 franchise channel member, $5 super chat to CP the conductor. Yo, hop out and air out. Salute to Beers, man. Long time viewer. Shout out to Keno, says Boston's in their own heads. Nick Anderson at the free throw line. Remember that one? Nick Anderson.
Ooh, ouch. Ouch. 95
95, man.
Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Nick Anderson.
Yeah. Shout out to Make It Rain, says KFTV time. The paperwork can wait. Okay, so he's at the job. He's telling the boss, man, look, I got more important things to do, like tap it in with the #1 show for the fans, by the fans. So salute to him, man. And if you guys are on the lunchtime grind, go ahead and throw #grind in the chat. Now, this was interesting, the impact of one Mitchell Robinson, the Block Nest Monster, man. Here was the comment from Joe Mazzulla after Game 2 on Mitch. Here's what he had to say. Here we go. Make sure the volume's up. Here we go.
You fouled Mitchell Robinson, seemed to get him out of the game. What has he been doing to kind of muck you guys up a little bit? How has he made such an impact on this series?
Yeah, I mean, he's good on both ends of the floor, right? He's able to play by himself. He's able to play double big with Towns and on the defensive end, and his ability to protect the rim, his ability to get extra possessions, and then I think his screening. He's able to get Bridges some open looks last night with his ability to screen. So, he's a huge factor to what they do, and we got to find ways to negate that.
All right, Eric, what are your thoughts there, man? The impact of Mitch. We talked about it on the last show. What you think? He was even better in Game 2. What'd you think?
Yeah, valuable piece for sure. And trying to play him off the floor, whether it's through putting him in screen roll action or playing hack a Mitch, is something that we're going to continue to see. At the same time, it's an interesting choice for the Celtics, right? Because if Tibbs wants to keep him on the floor, then you're going to have to deal with the missed free throws. So, let me say this. If the hack of Mitch thing is what we feel is going to decide this series, then that's bad news for the Celtics. They've got to get back to playing their basketball, but Coach makes really good points there. Mitch has been a factor, and obviously, you look back at this season for the Knicks, he was missing a lot of the year, and you guys were not at your full potential without him on the floor, because he gives you so many more options on both ends of the floor and makes life so much easier for Karl Anthony Towns when they're playing together. So obviously he's been huge, and game 3 will be interesting to see what that approach is with trying to keep him on the floor or trying to get him off the floor.
Yeah, Dex, man, a 97.9 defensive rating when he's on the court. That ranks first in the playoffs. 34% defensive field goal percentage against on 6.3 attempts. That's fourth. A minus 13.8% differential ranks fourth. And plus 32 versus Boston. What do you think, man?
Yeah. Now, I mean, the stats back up, I think, what we've been seeing. You see how big the impact is of his defense and how it helps the other guys. It helps Wingstop. I mean, there's no better evidence of that than on the last play of game 2. Mitchell Robinson deserves a lot of credit. He got Jason Tatum to go to his left hand, forced him there. OG Anunoby comes over with the help, and then you have Mikal Bridges help there too. So, man, he's been tremendous. And you know what? Look, you got to credit Tibbs, because you could have said, maybe we go away from him. He had 10 free throw attempts in game 1. He only hits 3 of them. Maybe you don't want to stick with him. But no, I think you talked about this the last game, CP. You talked about Tibbs sticking with him, and you saw Tibbs stick with him too. And so it's not a stubbornness by Tibbs, but Tibbs, I think, has made a good point. Eric made this point too, which is, hey, they know the impact. The Celtics are looking at those numbers too. They're seeing this. They're watching the tape. They're seeing the impact of Mitch, and they have to make a decision. They're willing to take these fouls. Early on in the fourth, they were fouling to try to get him off. They were willing to get into the bonus quicker to try to get him off the floor. So it's really intriguing to see what his impact has been. I think this is what Knicks fans have wanted to see in terms of the double big lineup and him playing with Towns. And now you're seeing some of the rewards for it. A lot of people thought this was a series where he could get played off the floor. That hasn't happened thus far, and he's had an impact. And hopefully Mitch still continues to have confidence. Now, would you like to see him hit some free throws and have some confidence there? Yeah, I think they'll be good. We saw a small sample size during the regular season when he played, where he was shooting near 70%. That hasn't translated in the playoffs. We'll see if, with some more reps and some confidence out on the floor, if he can start hitting his free throws. But make no mistake about it, man. Mitchell Robinson is huge for the Knicks right now in this series.
Bro, I told you on your show, New York got game, bro. I am not taking him out of this series.
You did say that.
From the jump, they cannot win series without him being a big factor. This is why you kept him at the trade deadline. As Eric just said, what if he started the season off healthy with this team and, knock on wood, played 75% of these games? We might be talking about the Knicks in a whole different fashion in terms of their defensive ability, their ability to close out games, their ability to beat elite teams. Like, he can change everything. And, for every time you battle with some of these people, it's like, he's not going to be the end-all, be-all. He's not the savior. It's not about savior. Eric just said it. It's about making everybody else's job easier. And as you pointed out, Dex, look at that last play. And give them credit, because the play before that, when they went high pick and roll and had Tatum going downhill quickly, I think that's a sprinkle that we could see a little bit more of in this series in terms of negating his impact. But the Knicks did adjust on that last play. And as you said, Dex, he weaked him, sent him to his left side. Tatum loses the dribble a little bit and then forces him into the help, which was your two best wing defenders. That is how you make impact. It's not about making the final play, but he, being a smart, savvy, lanky, athletic defender, made all the difference in the world.
Think about how when Mitchell Robinson was first drafted by this team, he could never do that, right? He was making the dumb fouls, the stupid fouls. I think something you said there, CP, and I didn't mention it when I brought up that play, but it was that adjustment. Because you got to remember, that's just one possession before. For the Knicks, for one, Mitchell Robinson to make that adjustment and force him left, and then OG Anunoby to recognize and not get caught to come over and help as efficiently as he did. those two guys, and I read something where they didn't even talk about it. They hadn't talked because they didn't really have the time to. So for them to make that adjustment on the fly, is huge. Look, I don't kill the Celtics for that in the last play. I would have went back to the same thing too. You saw the success for it going downhill. I would have went back to the same thing. I had no problem with the Celtics calling that play. The Knicks just made an adjustment there, and you got to credit the Knicks defense. And, look, Mitchell Robinson has been the linchpin of this defense. He's had an impact, like you said, CP. I remember you and I talked before the trade deadline. You're right. There were fans who wanted to trade him for Jonas Valanciunas. And I do not think that Jonas Valanciunas is making that play. Like, I know he's not making that play, right? And people wanted that. And it's not about savior. You're so right, CP. Impact. How do you impact others? How do you make others around you better? How do all the pieces fit together? And now you see Mitchell Robinson, who at the end of the season told us in the media when we was in the locker room, I'm feeling good. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting my win back. Now you see him. He doesn't look gassed on the court. He's able to make plays in the game late. Tom Thibodeau is trusting him. That's another thing I think that's huge here, that he's trusting him to make the plays. And he's also saying, hey, look, sometimes as a coach, you want to dictate what the other team does. You don't want to make the Celtics dictate what you do. This is the chess match within the game, and now you got to figure it out too, because I do think you're right. The Celtics are going to run more of that Tatum downhill, getting head of steam off of an inbounds play or in transition. They're going to look to do that more, and we'll see how the Knicks continue to adjust to that. But, man, Mitchell Robinson's been good. The blockness monster has been good, and if you wanted him gone for Jonas Valanciunas or some other center, I don't know what you're saying right now.
Final thought for me before I got to run.
Yeah.
The Celtics have run that play many times for Tatum in clutch situations. He's gotten dunks on it. He's gotten the defense retreating where he could then just easily hit that step back three going to his right. The Knicks played it perfectly. And what really bothers me is they didn't use the timeout, because saving it was a good idea if you run early action there, because if you miss, Knicks get the rebound, and there's still 5 seconds on the clock, you're down one foul. Still have a timeout. You can still steal the game. As soon as that play started going sideways, I think there was still 4 or 5 seconds on the clock. The Knicks were in perfect help. Tatum did not come to a jump stop and try to find anybody. He just kept kind of probing to get off a shot. The Knicks played it perfectly. You got to burn the timeout with 4 seconds left. That's why you still have it. So, again, the Knick wing defenders, and you guys, I hope, will get a Wingstop sponsorship soon. The wing defenders are that much better when you have Mitch behind them. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So this was great. I got to run.
Sure.
Game 3, I may get in the building. I'll let you know. And I hope to see both of you fine gentlemen for our lunch on Monday before the Celtics even the series at 2 o'clock.
No. The steak dinner, the steak lunch is going down with
Monday.
The Knicks up 3-0.
Monday.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
Great job, fellas.
All right.
And
Appreciate
let's
you
see
guys.
if we can do this Monday
Thanks.
as well on the catch-up. All right?
For sure. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, salute to my guys, man. Dexter Henry, Eric Newman for today's show. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We definitely appreciate everybody for tapping in, man. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about Game 3? Let us know in the comment section. And, hey, we'll talk about it, man. But great show, great thoughts. And I like the series that we have going here. I definitely like this series that we got going. And so we'll do it again on Monday, and then we'll do a little stream from the lunch. You know what I mean? We'll do a little stream from the lunch. So, yeah, shout out to all guys. And hey, this is a new time for everybody, a new time for the Knicks fans, a new time for the younger generation as well, and a fun time for sure. Definitely a fun time, man. So hey, I like where this team is at. I like the fact that they are fighting. And you just never know. This is what the journey is about. You just never know. And so salute to the Knicks, man, because right now they're getting the job done. And I think that they have another level to get to, man. But speaking of jobs, man, salute to another one of our sponsors, man, at LinkedIn Jobs. For some of you in here, we got 1,000 people in here. Some of you guys are small business owners or medium-sized business owners. Have you ever tried using LinkedIn to find the next top talent? The best part about LinkedIn in terms of, why I use it to find talent is because it's a social network. So you're connected with people all around the world, so you can post your job very easily. It'll pull in the qualified candidates. You connect with who you want to speak to for your interview, and then, hey, you hire who you want to hire, man. And that's the thing about LinkedIn. And the best part is you can post your job for absolutely free by going to linkedin.com/KFTV. That's linkedin.com/KFTV. All right, terms and conditions apply, but we appreciate our guys at LinkedIn for sponsoring today's show. Okay, I see the Rhyme Animal Chuck D in the chat. The Rhyme Animal Chuck D is ready to go. Salute to Chuck. We definitely appreciate it, man. The group chats have been going crazy, man. We got the group chat with me, Chuck, and Alex. Me, Chuck, and the Abstract Q-Tip. Shout out to Q-Tip as well, man. So, this is why this time of year is so much fun, man, because, the enthusiasm for this team is just at an all-time high. And that's what the journey is about. That's what the road through the playoffs is about. There's a certain magic to it that you just don't know sometimes. You just don't know, man. You know what I mean? Do we got Young Sports Talk on the Discord? JD Sports Talk, ladies and gentlemen. What's good, bro? How you feel, bro? Are you there?
Am I live?
Yeah, you live, man. You live, B. What were you in the Discord, man? You chatting with the people? What are you doing, bro?
Oh, wow.
You live, B. Where you at, bro?
I'm just, I'm doing some work.
I got you, man.
The computer. I was in the, I didn't realize.
You kind of break it up. But that's why I looked at the Discord. I was like, did JD pop in here, or was this from the other night and he didn't even realize he hasn't been going yet?
Exactly. It's from the other night, man. I'm just.
You kind of breaking up. Go ahead. Go one more time.
Hold on.
Yeah. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to Risen, $10 super chat. Says, no way we win 2 in that fashion in Boston and lose the first game of the series at the Garden. For sure, W. I hope so, man. Look, I
better?
think...
Sound better now?
Yeah, you good. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was from... and I'm just locking it.
Okay.
I got my double monitor set up, and then I see you pop in.
Yeah.
And I somehow hear you on my headphones.
The audio's bad, man. The audio's bad.
I have so many tabs open. I'm like, maybe one of the tabs just popped up.
Yeah.
And you just popped up on a previous show. But
yeah.
What we talk about today, man? Keys to the game?
Well, yeah, we were. I was about to wrap up. I got to get ready to go to FAN. I got to go to FAN at 4:30. So I got to go jump on the Iron Horse. I got to send out some merch, then jump on the Iron Horse and get out of here. So, but yeah, me, Dexter, and Eric was just wrapping up. So give me your rapid fire keys to tomorrow, man. What do you think?
All right, rapid fire keys to tomorrow. It's a very interesting situation. They're up 2-0, but you kind of feel like they kind of have to win tomorrow. So
yeah, how
do they do it? It's going to be a hostile environment. I think CP, the first quarter has to be very important. They have to get off to a good start.
Tone setter.
Yeah, they have to get off to a good start because I think if they lose tomorrow, it's going to be a weird thing. They've lost a couple games at the Garden to kind of set the tone back at home and regain that home court advantage. So to me, start well first quarter and then keep the game close. If you can do that, obviously you want them to take a bigger lead, but if they can keep the game close, I think they'll close it out because at that point there's a psychological situation happening in Boston. So good start in the first, keep it close in the second half, close it out with Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, there you go, man. We'll tap in tomorrow. Are you doing post game tomorrow? Because depending on the time, how you looking?
I'll let you know.
All right, keep me posted, man. All right, this is JD Sports Talk in the building. Shout out to JD, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to the franchise channel members. We'll let JD go here. And, man, it's a good thing that, we caught him during family showtime. Because if it was nighttime and we went to him on the Discord, unannounced, we might have heard some things we didn't want to hear. So shout out to JD. Shout out to Black Yankee 79, $5 super chat says the Knicks must come out like they're down 0-2 because Boston's going to come out guns blazing. NYK must win game 3. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you guys. Must win situation. Risen, I got yours, Risen. Yeah, we got to get that W as well. Appreciate the super chat. Let me see who else we got in here. I got Black Yankee. DJ Eric L. Beats. KFTV's resident DJ says Game 3 tomorrow is the most important game of the series. Ainsworth tomorrow, 1:30. Let's go, Knicks. Welcome to my franchise channel members, Daniel Malcolm, Janelle Torre. Salute to you guys. And I got everybody else. Salute to my franchise channel members, man. What a time. What a time, man. I'm telling you, man, that orange and blue, nothing better than being a Knicks fan. The greatest fan base in sports. The greatest in sports, man. And you just gotta love it. Also, speaking of Game 3, and TM, if you're in the chat, we are doing a Game 3 ticket giveaway, by the way. We are doing a Game 3 ticket giveaway. The winner is going to be announced at 3 o'clock. The way to enter is make sure you guys are following our guys at Juan Please Tequila on Instagram, and make sure you guys are following KnicksFanTV on Instagram. Their tag is Drink Juan Please. Our tag is KnicksFanTV. Follow us and also join the KnicksFanTV newsletter. Absolutely free to sign up. And we're going to announce the winner via email. So you're going to want to put your real email. It ain't, 123456@gmail.com. No, you got to put your real joint out there, and you'll be notified by 3 o'clock if you win 2 tickets. We were just saying the tickets are kind of expensive. So make sure, we are offering a chance of a lifetime for you to get into the building. What else, man? And speaking of the building, I really do hope that, the Garden is rocking. I think it should be. But I do feel for the fans who, look, man, it's a pricey ticket. It is not cheap. It's not cheap to get in there. So it's just, hey, this, that's how the markets are. Supply and demand, capitalism, whatever you want to call it. It's just unfortunate, but like I said, you have options. You can be outside at the block party, outside the Garden, or you can come to us, come to the Ainsworth, man. Hey, listen, man, there's no better place to me to watch among fans. I'm biased, but Eric L. Beats will tell you there is no better place to watch a game but the Ainsworth, man. We got live game audio. Then Eric spinning on the 1s and 2s. We got rooftop vibes. You can sit. We have seats. That's one thing about the block party. There ain't no seats. You're standing up the whole time. We got seats at the Ainsworth. We got food. We got soda, alcohol, whatever you're into. And we got a gang of Knicks fans. Tickets are flying off the shelves. Tables are going fast. Tables are going very fast. So make sure you go to KFTVWatch.com to get your tickets to the watch party. I will be there from about 1:30 to 2:30, or say 2:45ish, and then I'm headed over to the Garden for the game. Then I'll be back, win or lose. I'll be back at the Ainsworth for the post game, whatever it is, and then I gotta get back for post game. So I'll be all over the city tomorrow. But yeah, man, past 3 games at the Ainsworth has been absolutely insane, absolutely insane. What else? As I said, yeah, I'm heading over to WFAN to join Evan and Tiki at 4:30. That'll be on SNY TV, WFAN 660 AM, 101.9 FM. So I'm getting ready to go over there now. This was a dope moment, man. You guys know I'm Patrick Ewing. That is my guy. That is my idol. I love this captain to captain salute after game 2. Jalen Brunson, super close with Patrick Ewing, the Jamaica connection, the teammate connection with his father, Rick. They're family, man. So I love the fact that, number one, that the Knicks have brought Patrick Ewing along for the ride. And, just to see the leadership, the 2 captains saluting each other, and he's waiting for Brunson to give him a salute, man. I just love that. That was everything to me. Here's Patrick celebrating after the Knicks seal the deal on game 2. It's amazing, man. I get goosebumps, man, watching it. Because this organization is everything to him. And for those of us that grew up watching him pour blood, sweat, and tears for this organization, it's beautiful to see him with the organization. This was the pregame walk-in. This was game 2. Once I saw this, I said, oh, yeah, let's go. We're ready for war. This was the pregame walk-in. All silence. Nobody talking. The captain leading the troops. The big fella leading the troops through the Boston Garden. You know, and I'm sure he had to have crazy memories from his playing days. So that is just amazing. I am Gotham, says the big fella. Love me some Patrick Ewing. Absolutely. Shout out to the Rhyme Animal Chuck D's. The $10 Super Chat says, the Knicks fans can fill UBS, Nassau, Coliseum, Prudential, and Barclays with watch parties of fans who can't afford tickets. Knicks Nation is that deep. Absolutely. And I also love the fact that, man, you know, that this is just a worldwide just enjoyment and enthusiasm. You know, like we have Knicks fans tagging us from the UK, from Australia, with their merch, with their you know, reactions to the games. And this is just, you see Knicks fans in the daytime watching the game live, you know, tagging us in content. So it's just amazing. It's really a worldwide phenomenon right now. And like I said, look, you let the national media keep sleeping on us. You let the national media keep talking trash. The reason it doesn't bother me that much is, number one, because we come back and expose them on Worst Take, on the number one show for the fans by the fans, but also because it just further validates what we do here and why it's so important to the fan base. And that's why we ask for your support. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. We are on our way to 100,000 subscribers. The numbers don't lie. The people are speaking with their support, with the amount of people that we have in here, the amount of people that are watching play-by-play, the amount of people that come to the watch party, the amount of people that are watching post-game. The proof is in the numbers. The people know where they want to come to have an authentic experience with their fellow Knicks fans. And that's what we try to do every day. We try to bring you guys value every day. And so I hope we're doing a good job by providing that service and the content as well. And so, hey, man, we definitely appreciate the support. So let the mainstream sleep on us, man. That's their job. But speaking of sleep, I want to close with our final sponsor today at Bear Mattress. Salute to our guys at Bear Mattress, man. And as you see right here on bearmattress.com, you know, they do have a Memorial Day sale of like 35% off mattresses and all that. However, they will give you an even better deal for KFTV viewers, because if you use code KFTV on bearmattress.com, they will give you 40% off site-wide. And the best thing about Bear Mattress is that you take a survey and they pair you up with the best mattress for you. They have a number of different styles, fits, depending on your sleep patterns, your sleep preferences, and they will match you with the proper mattress for you. They gave me the Elite Hybrid, which, as you see here, has over 4,000 damn near 4.5-star reviews. So shout out to our guys at Bear Mattress. And as I said, 40% off site-wide when you use KFTV at bearmattress.com. The Elite Hybrid got the betting awards, a Good Housekeeping winner for 2025. Another more awards, Best of 2024 on CNET, Editor's Choice on Men's Health, Esquire magazine, so on and so forth. And hey, listen, your bed should be a quality investment, because hey, you're sleeping for a good majority of your life, so you want to make sure that you're getting something that's right for you. And again, that's the thing about Bear Mattress, where, you know, they try to fit you with the best bed possible based on your preferences. And you can try it out. 120 nights trial. If you're not satisfied, you can send it back for your money back guaranteed. And hey, shout out to our guys at Bear Mattress. Go to bearmattress.com. Use code KFTV for 40% off site-wide. Okay. All right, man. Great show, guys. Great show. Salute to Eric and Dexter again for tapping in with us. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything else from our wonderful franchise channel members. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. Great show. As I said, I'll be on WFAN at 4:30. Shout out to NYC B-Ball. If you're not watching KFTV, you watching Channel 0. Chuck D. Shout out to the Chuck D bar. Raymond Concepcion, Lunchtime Grind. Salute to you, Raymond. Appreciate the support. Make sure I didn't forget anything else. Rhyme Animal Chuck D. Would Tibbs start Mitch as a flip? No, I don't think so. Look, I also like the way that Josh Hart has been approaching these games. He's playing fast. He's being active in the half court as a screener, as a ball mover. He's getting after it. He's getting gritty on the rebounds. I do like the way that Josh Hart is playing. And, hey, I do like Mitch's minutes, but I'm going to ramp it up. I don't care about the hack of Mitch. That is a gimmick. And if the Celtics want to burn fouls doing that, then, hey, burn the fouls. We'll live with the results with Mitch. And guess what? When you get closer to the bonus, then we got Brunson, we got Towns to go in there and draw contact and get more free points. So I think Mazzulla's going to have to make an executive decision. You know what I mean? Absolutely. TKS, how often do we do these chats? We're live every day, man. We're going to be live later for KFTV Court Vision. Bailey's going to be back. We're going to be breaking down some film for this series as well. So we here, man. We are definitely here. Okay. All right, man. That's that. We'll see you guys later. Salute to the replay gang. And remember that this show is available in audio podcast format. So if you missed the live streams, you can always catch up on the audio side of the house. All right. Great show, everybody. We will see you later on. Peace.